anything. And I'm just like, okay, like I'm trying to pay attention. What I'm,
This is a little much.
right. But also I'm like, do I want to be here for 3 hours or an hour and a half? So, yeah, go ahead. I know. One time I had to leave and then come back and finish because I'm like, I gotta go pick up my kid. Like, I've been here for almost 3 hours, so.
Yeah, it was probably about 5 or 6 months ago that they started taking like hours. They gave my husband,
Like a 2 hour, like after 2 hours, I'm like,
oh, it's like, it takes so much time to get there, to come back
Okay,
to.
just so everybody knows, we are live on our feed here, so.
There are people that come into this.
Is there anybody monitoring?
no.
But it is recorded, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
well, I apologize. If it weren't for all the work that the staff and Kevin O'Connor have done, there would be no reason for this meeting.
Exactly.
And he just had a new grandson, and he'd rather be down there visiting than deal with us.
Congrats. Mazel tov.
Yeah.
So there are 4 people, which is a quorum. We do expect Rich Rosen and Helen Brooks. So I think we'll begin because we promised everyone to be out of here as rapidly as possible. So you always put call the roll, a roll call for Ricky. We don't officially have to do that.
No, we have a quorum, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Then Amy, do you want to give your brief remarks?
I have nothing, no.
Great. Kevin, do you want
And
to?
I have nothing to report in my, other than the business items.
We're going to have a discussion in executive session about the Arts Council and the recommendations to the Alliance Board and the update in on the central warehouse. So the question is there any business that anyone wants to bring up while we're in session?
Well, you may want to just kind of go through a little bit about, what we did on the Arts and Culture Grant Program. In your, well, maybe not in your package, but a handout there, you'll have all the background on the Arts and Cultural Program, including the Culture and Arts Grant Program Charter, the solicitation letter, and as you'll see, as the letterhead on that has the names of the advisory board members. John Regan from Albany Medical Center is the chairman, Alan Goldberg. Judy Gilmore is from the Arts Council. Len Tantillo is our local maritime artist. Linda Jackson Chalmers was the African American Cultural Center and some other things. And Christine Miles was the former executive director of the Albany Institute of History and Art. And attached here, you'll see the letter we sent out soliciting the attached request for expressions of interest, which you've all seen before, and then the press release that County Executive McCoy issued back in November when this was put out. And lastly, in your package is the letter that was sent out inviting select members of the responses to apply for a direct grant, which you'll see on the last page was the application that was used for that purpose. And I'd say it was a pretty robust process. And Alan, do you want to comment on the response?
Sure. So I apologize. I thought Kevin told me I was supposed to say this during the executive session. I could have read those names too. But I do think it's important for everyone to understand that they gave a real time and effort to be able to review what were a large number of responses. And we did advertise is the wrong word, but we put the tombstones or whatever you call them in the TU, we put them on our websites to encourage as many people in Albany County to apply as possible. The decision we made was to divide these into 2 groups so that we could do something this year and in the first quarter of next year, work on the large majority of these smaller requests. Because the larger organizations all have business plans, they all have budgets, they all have balance sheets, and they all have audits. And some of these very small organizations, they may have P&Ls, but they're not going to have an audit the way anyone that wants to apply for a grant has to. So that was the reason that we were breaking this into 2 groups. And we expect to meet multiple times during the January, February, March period, so that the monies that were allocated in this last year will be completely awarded, and people can get on with whatever the project was that they presented to us. We'll take up any of the other discussion in executive session.
Mr. Chair, maybe, I know we didn't want to disclose the individual grantees, but the total amount that the board is being asked to approve is an amount of $502,640. That would be allocated to, I believe, six organizations. If you would like to discuss who those organizations are, we can go into executive session to do that. I think the county executive might be releasing this later this afternoon, from what I understand.
Yeah, we're waiting for the meeting. We've had some conversations with the ledger.
So, if, I know we've got some members that are gonna leave, so just in the, make this the most efficient, we can maybe go into executive session at the end of the meeting, because there are another thing about the central warehouse that we may have to go into executive session for.
So the council's made these recommendations. It's up to the board to vote.
Right.
The total amount at this, in this tranche is $502,650. If you want us to vote on this without.
Why don't we go to executive session first and come out and do it in public session?
Fine.
Okay, we've got, these guys leave at 12:30, so we've got,
It should be a very short conversation, Kevin.
okay. Well, you want to, I don't want to have to go into executive session, come back out of executive session, come back into executive session. So can we hold our executive session to one thing particularly, because these
Sure.
guys got to leave.
And we'll make it very brief.
Okay.
So we're gonna go into executive, just to bring the board and everybody here on the same page. This was passed in July of '24, this program. So there's a process in here where the the Alliance puts out the application scoring matrix, the process, as you said, the charter that was approved by the board provides that this group will assist the Alliance in grading and evaluating these applications, and ultimately the board makes the funding determinations. So that's the set. The only reason we go into executive session to discuss the basically financial employment history of certain corporations and matters leading to the appointment of certain corporations, which are namely the grantees themselves. We'll come out of executive session and then pass the resolution. But if you have any questions about the history or the matters leading to the appointment of that grantee awardee, then this would provide you that opportunity. So I would entertain a motion.
Well, Tom, could we do the central warehouse one first?
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
then go into
And then-
executive session after that?
Yeah, do you want me to just run through the
Yeah.
central warehouse? So we'll go to the central warehouse resolution, which is in your package. This is a resolution, previously in July of '24, there was a resolution related to the central warehouse, but at that point, to be fair, there weren't as many facts known about the transaction. So coming back to you now is a resolution with sort of what I would call a lot more structure to it. Again, I let the resolution read for itself, but what we're authorizing in this resolution is entering into a purchase and sale agreement by the Alliance with the owner of the property, which is CW Skyway LLC, for $50,000. The acquisition of land and the existing facility by the Alliance from CW, awarding a contract to a bidder in accordance with the RFP that's presently out there. Subject that award would come back to the board for your approval because it's over a certain dollar amount. Accepting the grant, and grant means a couple different grants. And it's laid out in the resolution. There's a New York State grant, there's a county grant, there's an Agri-Mohawk grant that's laid out. And then basically delegating to either the chairperson, the vice chair, or the CEO to review and basically execute the documents. What we define in here is project and grant documents to implement this resolution. So basically enter into a purchase and sale agreement, acquire the property, conduct the RFP, award the contract, and then implement the services that are contained in the contract, which is demolish the central warehouse. So that's what's before you now. I also make a point that the county did secret on this, the demolition of the central warehouse, earlier in the year. So, and we've looked at that resolution, it's in your agenda. It's really just to refer you to the county resolution where they made a negative declaration, and they are the lead agency. We are adopting that secret determination for the Alliance as well. We have nothing to indicate that our analysis would be different. We've reviewed their forms, and that county legislative declaration is in your package as well. So that's the resolution presently that's in your package, and subject to questions for Kevin or I or anybody, we entertain a motion to, pay out first and second, and then vote it.
Just briefly, we did our RFP. We got 7 bidders back on the demolition and abatement and construction management of the firm. We are having our attorneys and actually the engineers, county's engineers, Colliers, and a private individual that the Alliance has hired, looking over the contracts to make sure that the responses, to make sure that they are responsive and responsible. We think that we're going to have at least 3 qualified bids from this. But again, the engineers are looking at those bids, and we should have a decision next week. So out of the 7, we're comfortable we have at least 3 responsive bidders. But again, the engineers are looking at these to make sure, there's a lot of pressure on getting this building down and getting these contracts in place. We have started discussions with Amtrak. As you all know, the southeastern corner of that building almost touches the Amtrak line. And anytime you do anything within a railroad right of way, there's a whole series of unique review and cost items, not the least of which being insurance. And we had a conversation earlier this week with representatives from Amtrak, and we'll see that review could run from 6 to 12 months. Hopefully, it's more on the 6-month side, and I think through the Office of the County Executive, we'll be able to manage that relationship and get it there. And by the way, of course, the responsive bids are all within the $13 million budget that we've laid out. So, but if there are any more questions before you want to vote, I'd be happy to answer them if anybody's got them.
And just remind me, is there a prevailing wage requirement on this project? Because the reason Store New York is exempt, I know.
Yeah, well, it is. You're exactly right, Mike, and that's what we thought going into this. But it's been determined that this is probably best to just do a prevailing wage, and that's how we bid the project out. Project of this magnitude, this is really the domain of DOL, and I think their decision is that this constitute a public project, and notwithstanding that Restore is specifically exempt, that it being a public project, it would, qualify for a prevailing wage.
So the dominoes that need to fall, you need to close on the land, take title to the property, then you can award the contract. You still have the process to go through with Amtrak, correct?
That's correct.
So I guess my only question would be, without having to get into too many details, how long will these bidders hold their price based on how long Amtrak's gonna take?
So can I answer that one?
Yeah, go ahead.
So basically, as Kevin said, I have had communication with pretty much every individual that I can get to from a federal delegation perspective. We will go to anyone as high up on the state level. We were respectful, but put a ton of pressure on Amtrak.
Yeah.
This is what I'll call a mutually difficult situation in the sense that there have been issues with the building and the tracks. So we basically said to them, listen, if you wait too long, it's going to work against you. You're also working on the bridge. So, you need to find a way to accelerate this process. Kevin was very generous in saying 6 to 12 months. I don't think that we should be tolerating anything more than 3 months.
Okay, just curious, I'm sure you can
It's-
negotiate, you're gonna talk before you hire this
And
person.
that's exactly right,
Yeah.
Rich. We'll have, meetings with 2 or 3 of the most responsive bidders and, maybe work a little bit more on price and some of the terms of the deal. So that'll definitely be one of the terms that we work on, that their pricing and bidding will be sufficient to get, hopefully, and I think we're probably in good shape, that we might be able to start the environmental remediation at the same time that the Amtrak's review is underway.
Yeah,
Correct.
that's an independent,
If they can go at the same time, then we're okay.
okay.
Yeah.
All right, and then when do you anticipate closing the property?
Sometime this week.
So title, environmental,
Merry Christmas.
Yeah, I was just gonna say. Nice.
okay.
So Tom's dealing with the Redburn attorney, and I just spoke to Jeff Buell earlier this morning, and I think it's imminent.
It's in everyone's best interest.
Right.
Yeah, great job, a lot of work.
Yeah, it's not
A
that it's
lot of
great.
work.
So I
that
guess,
was the first and the
yeah,
second.
do it.
So what are the steps to?
Just the first and the second for the resolution to vote.
I'll make a motion. I'll second it.
So there is a resolution, it's been seconded. Any other comments or questions? All in favor of this resolution?
Aye.
Is there anyone opposed? So the vast majority of this alliance is voted for this. One person missing.
Helen Brooks, yeah.
And Ellen,
Oh, I didn't.
okay. Tom?
So we'll move to executive.
Yeah,
session.
we'll just be brief. I would like to get a motion to first and the second go in executive session, and the reason would be matters leading to the appointment of a particular corporation or individual, namely the grant awardees on the arts and cultural program.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
So
That,
Lucas,
go,
go.
that adjourns the meeting?
You come back in.
Yeah, sure.
That adjourns the